The biggest issue we saw at the very beginning was the gym obviously was designed for a purpose that, before robotics even existed, right? It was designed for a completely different purpose than a research facility. The building itself had fallen into disrepair, so was well past its useful life in many areas, and to bring a building of that state up to a more modern research facility was a huge challenge. We very quickly recognized that the roof, the windows all need to be replaced. Many of the systems within the building were never really up to a level for full occupancy for one thing, but even to a level of a research facility. So all of that had to be redone and replaced. And in doing so, we also had the ability to bring a building built in the 30s up to more modern energy codes. So we kind of went through all of those exercises and really kind of worked hard to do what we could to bring this kind of aging building at the time, kind of bring it back to life, and to at the same point kind of bring it up to more modern energy codes in order for it to perform as a more modern building might. Very early on as well, that was a goal, was that we did not design specific spaces for specific research or researchers, so that we weren't dividing up all of this space into smaller spaces or these larger spaces having a bunch of divisions. Each of these large gym spaces were left fairly open so that as their research evolved and changed, which could be weekly, monthly, they had the ability to adapt and move things around, and you wouldn't have to come in and do any major, renovation in order to accommodate research change. So it's just large open spaces, flexible, adaptable, a lot of sharing, right? So the bleed of research into each other was very easily done. And, so they were allowed to kind of see what each other was doing, collaborate and ask questions, and really use that large space. Kind of three big highlights of what we had to do is we replaced the roof. When we did that, we upgraded the insulation value of the roof so that it met the modern criteria for roof insulation. We were able to salvage all of the historical clay tile that was on the roof and reinstall it so that it's the same, clay tile roof that was there before. It just, got a uplift, I guess, to a certain extent. The window replacement was another big one. The existing steel windows were single pane. They had become translucent, semi-opaque, so you couldn't really see through them. You got some light, but not a lot. We replaced those with very large curtain wall with insulated glass, and they were thermally broken, so it increased their thermal capabilities as well. But in that, it became transparent windows, so let in a ton of light and just created these really nice spaces in the gym space, because those windows are enormous and let in a lot of natural light that was not even reaching these spaces. So those spaces became fantastic. And then lastly, it was just system upgrades everywhere. New mechanical system, new electrical system. The building wasn't designed for that, so we had to bring all of that into the building and carve out a bunch of space in the building to allow for those systems. This renovation really allowed that university and the users not to give up on this aging kind of building that had fallen into disrepair. They didn't shy away from putting a program like robotics into this building either. They really embraced leading edge technology of robotics into a building of this age. I think that kind of that dichotomy was a nice kind of touch. It really seemed like a mismatch at the beginning, but in the end, it gave the robotics its home, and its home has a lot of character. We didn't try to clean it up beyond recognition, but we allowed that personality of that original building to really shine through.